Alexei Volkov walked into his enemy's funeral with a contract in one hand and a loaded gun in the other, ready to claim the one thing Viktor Morozov loved more than power, his daughter. Listen, YouTube doesn't care if you've been watching for months or just found us today. If you don't subscribe right now, this story might vanish from your feed forever. We pour everything into bringing you these dark, twisted tales that you can't find anywhere else. Hit that subscribe button before the algorithm decides you don't exist. We need you here. Now let's get into this. The cathedral was too quiet for a man like Viktor Morozov. Anya Morozov stood at her father's casket in a black dress that cost more than most people's cars. Her face a perfect mask of grief. Calculated, practiced, empty. She'd been preparing for this funeral for 3 years, ever since the cancer diagnosis. Ever since she'd taken over the parts of her father's empire he thought she knew nothing about. The medical supply smuggling, the organ trafficking network, the offshore accounts that funded half of Moscow's underworld. Viktor Morozov had died thinking his daughter was a brilliant neurosurgeon who spent her days saving lives in sterile operating rooms. He died never knowing she'd been running his entire medical black market operation since she was 25. That she'd built it into something he could never have imagined, that she'd been smarter than him all along. The church doors slammed open, every head turned, every breath stopped. Alexei Volkov walked down the center aisle like death itself had taken human form, 6'3", shoulders that belonged on a statue, a face carved from Siberian winter, all sharp edges and cold beauty, and eyes the color of frozen lakes. His black suit was custom, his tie was blood red, and the 15 men flanking him were armed enough to start a war. The Pakan of the Moscow Bratva, the Winter Wolf, the man who'd spent 7 years building an empire on the ashes of everyone who'd crossed him. And he was walking straight toward Anya. She didn't move, didn't flinch, just watched him approach with the same clinical detachment she used when examining brain scans, assessing, calculating, planning 3 moves ahead. Alexei stopped 3 feet from the casket, looked down at Viktor's corpse with something that might have been satisfaction. Then his eyes, those cold, merciless eyes, found Anya's. Anya Viktorovna Morozova. His voice was deep, controlled, the kind of voice that made grown men confess their sins. "We need to talk. My father's funeral seems an inappropriate venue for business, Mr. Volkov." Her Russian was perfect, Moscow aristocracy, not a tremor in it. "Your father's funeral is the perfect venue." Alexei pulled a document from his jacket, unfolded it. "Because this is about a debt he owed me, a debt that doesn't die with him." The mourners shifted uncomfortably. This wasn't how funerals worked in their world. You paid respects. You kept the peace. You settled scores later, in darkness, where bodies wouldn't be found. But Alexei Volkov had never cared about tradition. What debt? Anya's voice was steady, but her mind was racing. She'd gone through her father's books, every ledger, every transaction. There was nothing owed to the Volkov Bratva, nothing that, 7 years ago, your father ordered the hit that killed my brother. Alexei's words fell like guillotine blades. Dmitry Volkov, 24 years old, medical student. He died in a warehouse fire that your father arranged because Dmitry witnessed something he shouldn't have, something in a hospital, something involving your family's organ trafficking operation. The cathedral went silent. Anya's mask didn't crack, but inside pieces were falling into place. The warehouse fire 7 years ago, the medical student who'd stumbled onto their operation, her father's paranoia that entire year, the way he'd started drinking more, sleeping less, the guilt that had eventually eaten him alive. "You have no proof," she said. "I have a witness, a man your father thought he'd killed, a man who's been in hiding for 7 years, waiting for Viktor to die so he could finally tell the truth." Alexei stepped closer, close enough she could smell his cologne. Expensive, dark, dangerous. "Your father took my brother, so I'm taking you." "Excuse me?" "It's very simple, Anya." He handed her the document. "This is a marriage contract, binding under both Russian law and Bratva code. You sign it, you become my wife for 5 years. You refuse, and I burn everything your father built to the ground. His hospitals, his charities, his legacy. I'll expose every illegal operation, every bribe, every body buried in shallow graves. The Morozov name will be synonymous with corruption and death." Anya looked down at the contract. Her hands didn't shake. They never did. Not in surgery, not now. "And if I sign?" "Then you belong to me. You live in my home. You appear at my side at every Bratva function. You play the role of devoted wife. And in 5 years, when I've extracted every ounce of revenge from this arrangement, you're free." "You're insane." "I'm owed." His voice dropped. "Your father took the only person I loved, so I'm taking the only person he loved. It's called balance." Anya met his eyes, saw the rage there, the grief buried under ice, the absolute certainty that he was right, that this was justice. He had no idea who she really was, what she was capable of, what she'd done. And that was her advantage. "I'll need 24 hours to consider," she said. "You have 60 seconds. "That's not enough time to—" Alexei pulled out his phone, pressed a button, turned the screen toward her. It was a live feed. Her father's main hospital. The one that bore the Morozov name in gold letters 12 feet high. Alexei's men were already inside, dressed as maintenance workers, placing charges in strategic locations. 50 seconds, Alexei said. "Choose." Anya looked at the screen, at the hospital her father had built, at the legacy he'd spent his life creating, at the patients currently in surgery, in recovery, trusting that the walls around them were safe. She looked at Alexei Volkov, at the man who thought he was punishing her, who thought she was just a surgeon, a victim, a pawn in his revenge game. He had no idea. "I need a pen," Anya said. Triumph flickered in Alexei's eyes. He produced a pen, held it out. Anya took it, signed her name on the contract in steady surgical script. Anya Viktorovna Morozova. The last time she'd write that name. "There," she said, handing back the document. "Satisfied?" Alexei folded the contract, put it back in his jacket. Then he reached out, took her left hand, and slid a ring onto her finger. Platinum, diamond the size of her thumbnail, cold as his eyes. "We're married in 1 hour," he said. "My car is waiting. Say goodbye to your father." "I need to change." "No. You wear black to your father's funeral and to your wedding. It's poetic." He was enjoying this. The control, the humiliation, the way every person in the cathedral was watching Anya Morozova, brilliant neurosurgeon, beloved daughter, Moscow's sweetheart, being claimed like property by her father's enemy. Anya looked down at her father's corpse one last time. "Forgive me, Papa, but you taught me to survive. And survival means playing the long game." She turned to Alexei. "I'm ready." "Good." He offered his arm. She didn't take it. He smiled. "You'll learn." They walked down the aisle together. His men fell into formation around them. The cathedral doors opened onto Moscow's gray afternoon. A black Rolls-Royce waited at the curb, engine purring. Alexei opened the door himself, gestured for her to enter. Anya stepped inside. The leather was soft. The interior smelled like money and threat. Alexei slid in beside her, closed the door. The locks clicked, automatic. Controlled from the driver's seat, she was trapped. The car pulled away from the cathedral, away from her father's funeral, away from the only life she'd ever known. "Where are we going?" Anya asked. "To my home, where you'll live for the next 5 years." Alexei watched Moscow slide past the tinted windows. "You'll have your own room, your own space, but you will attend every function I require. You will smile when I tell you to smile. You will play the role of devoted wife. And you will remember every single day that your father's actions have consequences." "And what about my work, my patients?" "You'll continue your surgical work, 3 days a week. I'm not a monster, Anya. I'm just a man collecting a debt." She almost laughed. Not a monster. This man had just blackmailed her into marriage at her father's funeral, but she kept her face neutral. If you're hooked and you haven't subscribed yet, you're playing a dangerous game with the algorithm. These stories don't show up by accident. They show up because you told YouTube. You wanted them. Tap that subscribe button. Join this community, because what happens next will absolutely destroy you, and you don't want to miss a single second. Now back to Anya's nightmare. The Volkov estate was a fortress disguised as a mansion. Anya stepped out of the Rolls-Royce and faced her new prison. Stone walls, iron gates, security cameras that tracked her every movement. And somewhere inside, a man who thought he owned her. "Welcome home," Alexei said. The words tasted like poison. Inside, the mansion was all dark wood and colder aesthetics, expensive art that probably came from collections that had mysteriously disappeared. Floors so polished she could see her reflection, a woman in a funeral dress about to marry her enemy. "Your room is on the 3rd floor," Alexei said, gesturing to a woman in her 50s who appeared from nowhere. "Svetlana will show you. You have 30 minutes to prepare for the ceremony." "Ceremony?" Anya's voice was sharp. "You said we were already married. The contract—" "Makes it legal in the Bratva, but I want it official, registered, binding in every court in Russia." His smile was cruel. "I want everyone to know that Anya Morozova belongs to Alexei Volkov, that your father's daughter is mine." He was thorough. She'd give him that. Svetlana led her through the mansion's maze, up 3 flights of stairs, down a hallway lined with portraits of Volkov ancestors, all of them looking stern and dangerous, to a door at the end. "This is your room, Mrs. Volkov," Svetlana said in Russian. Her accent was old Moscow. Her eyes were kind but careful. "I've prepared everything you'll need." The room was massive. King bed, sitting area. A view of the gardens that probably looked beautiful in summer, but now, in November, looked like a graveyard for plants. And on the bed, laid out like a sacrifice, was a wedding dress. White silk, long sleeves, high neck, conservative, beautiful. Everything a Bratva bride should wear. Anya wanted to burn it. 10 minutes, Mrs. Volkov," Svetlana said softly. Then she left, closing the door behind her. Anya walked to the window, looked down at the gardens, calculated the drop, 20 feet, maybe 25. She'd break both legs if she jumped, and even if she didn't, the guards patrolling the perimeter would catch her before she made it to the wall. Escape wasn't an option. Not yet. So she'd play his game, wear his dress, speak his vows, and she'd wait. Because Alexei Volkov had made one critical mistake. He thought she was a victim. He had no idea what she'd done, what she was capable of, what she knew, and that would destroy him. Anya changed into the wedding dress. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. Alexei had probably known her measurements, had probably been planning this for months, maybe years, waiting for her father to die so he could claim his revenge. She looked at herself in the mirror. A bride, a prisoner, a woman about to marry a man who hated everything she represented, but also a surgeon, a strategist, a woman who'd been running a criminal empire while her father took the credit. The door opened without a knock. Alexei stood in the doorway, and for one moment, just one, his expression flickered. Something other than cold rage. Something that looked almost like appreciation. Then it was gone. "You look acceptable," he said. "Come, the officiant is waiting." The ceremony was in the mansion's library. Just Alexei, Anya, Svetlana, and a priest who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. No flowers, no music, no pretense of love. Just words, legal binding words. "Do you, Anya Viktorovna Morozova, take Alexei Dmitrievich Volkov to be your lawfully wedded husband?" She looked into Alexei's eyes, saw the triumph there, the satisfaction, the belief that he'd won. "I do," she said. "And do you, Alexei Dmitrievich Volkov, take Anya Viktorovna Morozova to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." His voice was steady, final. "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife." No kiss, no celebration, just signatures on documents that would bind them for 5 years. Alexei signed first, then handed her the pen. Anya Viktorovna Volkov. The name looked foreign, wrong, but she wrote it anyway. "It's done," Alexei said. He dismissed the priest with a gesture. Svetlana disappeared like smoke. And then it was just the two of them, husband and wife, enemy and enemy. "I have a business dinner tonight," Alexei said. "You'll attend. Dress appropriately. We leave in 2 hours." "I just married you, and you're dragging me to a business dinner?" "You married me because you had no choice, and yes, you'll attend, because that's what wives do." He stepped closer. Close enough she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. "Let me be very clear, Anya. This isn't a marriage. It's a punishment. You will smile when I need you to smile. You will be silent when I need you to be silent. And you will remember every single day that your father's sins are the reason you're here." "My father didn't kill your brother," Anya said quietly. Alexei's expression went dangerous. "Careful." "I'm just saying, you have a witness, one witness, after 7 years. Witnesses lie, memories fail. Are you certain, absolutely certain, that my father gave that order?" "I'm certain that Dmitri is dead and your father was responsible." "Responsible isn't the same as guilty." "In my world, it is." He turned toward the door. 2 hours. Don't be late." He left her standing in the library, wearing a wedding dress that felt like a funeral shroud. Anya waited until his footsteps faded. Then she moved, fast, efficient, surgical precision. She needed information. Alexei thought he knew everything about her father's operation, but he didn't. He knew the surface, the obvious. The trails Viktor had left deliberately visible. He didn't know about the second set of books, the real accounts, the operation Anya had been running, and he certainly didn't know what had really happened to Dmitri Volkov 7 years ago. Anya pulled out her phone. It had been taken when she'd arrived, standard security protocol, but Svetlana had returned it with her belongings, probably assuming a surgeon's phone was harmless. They were wrong. She opened an encrypted app, typed a message to a number only 3 people in the world knew existed. "I'm in. Volkov suspects nothing. Proceed with phase 2. The reply came in seconds. "Confirmed. The truth is ready when you are." Anya deleted the messages, closed the app, slipped the phone back into her purse. Then she went upstairs to change for dinner with her new husband, the man who thought he was punishing her. The man who had no idea she'd been 3 steps ahead of him from the moment he'd walked into that cathedral. The man who was about to learn that Anya Morozova, Anya Volkov now, was the most dangerous piece on the board. And she'd been playing this game long before he knew it existed. The restaurant was the kind of place where oligarchs made deals and politicians sold their souls. Private, exclusive, the kind where a single bottle of wine cost more than a surgeon's monthly salary. Anya sat beside Alexei at a table with 5 other men, all bratva, all watching her with curiosity and calculation. The Winter Wolf's new bride, Viktor Morozov's daughter, a trophy, a weapon, a mystery. "Gentlemen, my wife," Alexei said, his hand possessive on Anya's lower back. "Anya Volkov." They nodded, smiled, made the appropriate sounds of congratulation. But their eyes were shark's eyes, predators recognizing fresh blood in the water. Dinner was a performance. Anya played her role perfectly, the dutiful wife, the quiet presence, the woman who smiled when spoken to and stayed silent when the men discussed business. She'd watched her father navigate these dinners her entire life. She knew the choreography. But she was also listening, learning, cataloging. The Bratva was restructuring territory after a war with the Chechen gangs. Alexei was consolidating power, expanding into new markets, and there were fractures in his organization. Men who resented his rapid rise, who thought he was too young, too ruthless, too willing to break tradition, weaknesses she could exploit. "Your wife is very quiet," one of the men, Konstantin, Alexei's second-in-command, said in Russian. "Is she always so obedient?" Anya felt Alexei's hand tighten on her back, a warning. "My wife is a brilliant neurosurgeon," Alexei said smoothly. "She understands that there's a time for speaking and a time for listening." "And does she understand what it means to be married to you?" Konstantin's smile was ugly. The dangers, the expectations, the consequences, if she understands perfectly. Alexei's voice went cold. "Don't you, darling?" Anya met his eyes, saw the challenge there, the test. "I understand that my husband is a powerful man," she said in flawless Russian, her voice carrying just enough steel to make the table go quiet. "I understand that power attracts enemies, and I understand that the wife of such a man must be more than decorative. She must be strategic, useful, an asset, not a liability." Konstantin's eyebrows rose. The other men exchanged glances. Alexei's expression was unreadable. "Well said." The conversation moved on, but Anya felt the shift. She'd been underestimated, expected to be a silent, broken thing. Instead, she'd reminded them she had a brain, a spine, dangerous qualities in a Bratva wife. After dinner, Alexei's driver took them home in silence. The city lights blurred past. Moscow at night was beautiful and deadly, like everything in this world. "You surprised them tonight," Alexei said finally. "Did I?" "They expected you to be fragile, traumatized. Instead, you spoke like someone who understands this world." "My father was Viktor Morozov. I grew up in this world." "Your father kept you separate, protected. You were supposed to be the clean branch on a dirty tree." Alexei turned to face her. "But you're not, are you? You're not as innocent as you pretend." Anya met his gaze. "Are any of us?" Something flickered in his eyes. Interest, maybe respect, maybe suspicion. "Tell me about Dmitri," Anya said. "Your brother? What was he like?" Alexei's expression went flat. "We're not discussing him. You're punishing me for his death. I think I deserve to know who he was." "You deserve nothing." "Then why did you marry me? If I'm just a symbol, just revenge, why go through with a legal marriage? Why not just—" She stopped, realized. "You need me for something more than revenge." "Careful, Anya. My father had connections you want, resources, intelligence, and you think I have access to them. That's why you married me instead of killing me." She leaned closer. "You need something from the Morozov Empire. What is it?" Alexei's hand shot out, gripped her chin. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough to remind her who held the power. "You're very perceptive," he said softly. "Dangerously so, but you're also very wrong. I don't need anything from your father's empire. I needed you to suffer. And watching you realize, day by day, that you're trapped here, that you belong to me, that there's no escape. That's the revenge I wanted." He released her, leaned back. Anya rubbed her chin. "You're lying." "Excuse me?" "Men like you don't marry for revenge. They kill for revenge. They destroy for revenge. Marriage is strategic, political. You married me because I'm worth more to you alive and bound to you than dead. The question is why?" Alexei stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, actually smiled, cold and sharp as a blade. "You're smarter than I gave you credit for," he said. "That's going to make this interesting." The car pulled into the estate. The gates closed behind them like a prison door. 3 weeks into the marriage, Anya made her move. She'd played the obedient wife, attended the dinners, smiled at the right moments, stayed quiet when expected, and she'd watched, learned, mapped every corner of Alexei's empire. His security was excellent, but not perfect. Every Tuesday and Thursday, Alexei left the estate for meetings with his inner circle. He'd be gone for exactly 4 hours. And during those 4 hours, Svetlana went to the market. The guards changed shifts. There was a 17-minute window when the South Wing security feeds looped. 17 minutes to access Alexei's private office. Anya waited until the window opened, then she moved. The office was locked, biometric scanner. But Anya had spent 3 weeks watching Alexei input his code. She'd memorized the finger positions, and she'd lifted his fingerprint from a glass at dinner using a technique she'd learned from one of her father's operatives. The lock disengaged. She slipped inside. The office was pure Alexei. Dark wood, leather furniture, bookshelves filled with first editions and files on everyone who'd ever crossed him. And there on his desk was exactly what she needed, a folder labeled Dmitry Volkov, Investigation. Anya opened it, started reading. 7 years ago, the warehouse fire. Dmitry Volkov, medical student, had been doing research at one of the Morozov hospitals. He'd witnessed something, asked questions, gotten too close. Viktor had ordered him eliminated, except, Anya kept reading, Viktor hadn't given that order. According to the witness statement Alexei had obtained, the order had come from someone else in the Morozov organization, someone Viktor trusted, someone who'd been running operations Viktor didn't know about, someone named Anya Morozova. Her blood turned to ice. No, that wasn't possible. 7 years ago, she'd been in medical school. She hadn't started taking over operations until... Then she saw the dates, the timeline. 7 years ago, Dmitry had discovered an illegal organ trafficking operation. Not her father's, hers, the one she'd been building in secret, the one that had made her millions, the one Viktor had never known existed. Dmitry had seen something he shouldn't have, had started asking questions that would have exposed her. And Anya had made a call, one call, to an operative who made problems disappear. She'd forgotten about it. It had been one problem among hundreds, one loose end she'd tied up without thinking twice. She'd killed Alexei's brother, not her father, her, and Alexei had no idea. The office door opened. Alexei stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. Looking for something? Anya's mind raced. How long had he known she was here? Had he set this up? Was this a test? "I wanted to know the truth," she said. "The truth about what?" "About Dmitry, about why you really hate my father." She closed the folder, kept her voice steady. "You said you had a witness. I wanted to see if he was telling the truth." Alexei walked into the office, closed the door behind him, locked it. "And what did you find?" "That the order didn't come from my father." Anya's voice was steady, surgical. "It came from someone in his organization, someone he trusted, someone who had their own operation running." Yes. Alexei stopped 3 feet from her. Someone very smart, very dangerous, someone who's been playing a long game. He knew. Oh, God, he knew. When did you figure it out? Anya asked. 2 weeks ago. I had my people dig deeper into the witness statement, found financial records, communications, a pattern. Alexei's smile was terrible. You've been running your father's medical black market since you were 25. You built it into an empire he never knew existed. And 7 years ago, when my brother got too close, you had him killed. Alexei, don't. His voice was deadly quiet. Don't lie to me. Not now. Not when I finally have the truth. Anya's back hit the desk. If you knew, why did you marry me? Why not just kill me? Because killing you would be too easy. He moved closer, caged her against the desk. I wanted you trapped. I wanted you in my home, in my bed, in my life. I wanted you to feel what it's like to be owned by the person you destroyed. I'm not in your bed. Yet. His hand came up, cupped her face. But you will be. Because that's the final punishment, Anya. You're going to fall in love with me. You're going to want me. And every time you do, you'll remember that you killed the only person I ever loved. That your pleasure is built on his ashes. You're insane. I'm thorough. His thumb brushed her lower lip. And you're already attracted to me. I can see it. The way you watch me. The way your breathing changes when I'm close. You hate me, but you want me. And that's going to destroy you. No. But her voice shook. Yes. He leaned in, his breath warm against her ear. Because I'm going to make you love me, Anya. And then I'm going to break you, just like you broke me. He pulled back, released her, walked to the door. Alexei, wait. He stopped, didn't turn around. I was 25, Anya said, her voice breaking. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know Dmitri was your brother. I didn't know you existed. I was building something, and he was a threat, and I made a call I can't take back. I know. Alexei's voice was cold. That's what makes it worse. You killed him without even knowing who he was. He was nothing to you, a problem to solve, but he was everything to me. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back. He opened the door. Dinner is at 8. Wear something beautiful. We have guests. He left. Anya slid down the desk to the floor. Her hands were shaking. Her carefully constructed plans were ashes. Alexei knew. He'd known for 2 weeks, and he'd been playing her, testing her, waiting for this moment. She'd underestimated him, badly. Her phone buzzed. The encrypted app, a message. Phase 2 complete. The evidence is ready. Do you want us to proceed? Anya stared at the message. The evidence. The proof that Dmitri hadn't died in that warehouse fire. That he'd been in witness protection for 7 years. That the whole thing had been an elaborate setup to flush out the real power in the Morozov organization. That Alexei had been working with Dmitri all along. Because Dmitri wasn't dead. He'd never been dead. And Alexei's revenge? It was about to get very, very complicated. Anya typed back, proceed. Bring Dmitri home. She stood, smoothed her dress, wiped her eyes. At dinner that night, she wore red. Scarlet silk that hugged every curve. Her hair down, makeup perfect, war paint. Alexei's eyes darkened when he saw her. Beautiful, he said. Thank you. Their guests arrived. Business associates, politicians, the usual corruption dressed in expensive suits. And then one more guest. The door opened. A man walked in, late 20s, dark hair, gray-blue eyes exactly like Alexei's. Dmitri Volkov, alive. Alexei's face went white, then red, then white again. Hello, brother, Dmitri said in Russian. He looked at Anya. And you must be the woman who supposedly killed me. I've been looking forward to meeting you. The room went silent. Alexei looked between them. "What is this?" "This," Anya said quietly, "is the truth. Your brother isn't dead. He's been in witness protection, working with the FSB to bring down my father's operation. And the witness you found, the one who said I gave the order, he was lying. Because I never gave that order. I never killed anyone." "She's telling the truth," Dmitri said. "I staged my death with FSB help. We needed to flush out the real killer in the Morozov organization. And we did. It wasn't Anya. It was Konstantin," Alexei breathed. "Your second in command, my former best friend." Dmitri's expression went hard. He was working for the Chechens, trying to start a war between our families. When I got too close to his operation, he tried to kill me. Made it look like the Morozovs did it. And you've been hunting the wrong family for 7 years. Alexei sat down heavily. His world was rewriting itself in real time. "You let me think you were dead," he said to Dmitri, "to protect you, to protect our family. Konstantin was too close, too trusted. I had to disappear to expose him. And Anya was innocent of my death, at least." Dmitri looked at Anya. "Though I hear you've been running quite the operation yourself." "I have." Anya met his eyes. "But not murder, never murder. I traffic organs, I smuggle medical supplies. I'm a criminal, but I'm not a killer." Alexei stood, walked to the window, stared out at Moscow's lights. 7 years, he said. 7 years I've hated the wrong people." "Yes," Dmitri said, "and I married her for revenge." "Yes." "Revenge for a crime she didn't commit." "Yes." Alexei turned, looked at Anya. "I destroyed your life for nothing." "Not nothing," Anya said. "You exposed Konstantin. You brought your brother home. You—" Her voice caught. "You showed me what I'd become, what I needed to change. I need air." Alexei walked out of the room, out of the mansion, into the gardens. Anya found him 20 minutes later, standing by a fountain, staring at nothing. "I'm divorcing you," he said without looking at her. "Immediately. You're free." "What if I don't want to be free?" He looked at her. "What? What if—" She took a breath. "What if these 3 weeks taught me something? What if being married to you, being forced to slow down, to think, to see what I'd become, what if that was exactly what I needed?" "You're saying this because you feel sorry for me." "I'm saying this because I'm falling in love with you." The words came out raw. "True. And I know that's insane. I know you hate me. I know this was all revenge and lies and manipulation, but somewhere in the middle of this nightmare, I started seeing you. Really seeing you, and I—" He kissed her, fierce, desperate. 7 years of grief and rage and loneliness poured into one moment. When he pulled back, they were both shaking. "I don't hate you," Alexei said. "I wanted to. God, I wanted to. But you're brilliant and fierce, and you matched me, move for move, and I—" He pressed his forehead to hers. "I don't know what we are. I don't know if this is real or just—" "It's real," Anya whispered. "I'm real. We're real." 5 years, Alexei said. "The contract. You signed for 5 years." "I know. What if we honored it? Not as revenge, but as a chance. To see if this, whatever this is, can become something real." Anya pulled back, looked into his eyes. "You want to stay married?" "I want to start over. No revenge, no lies. Just 2 people who found each other in the worst way possible, trying to build something good from the ashes. That's insane. Probably. We barely know each other. So we'll learn." Anya kissed him, soft, sure, a promise. 5 years, she said. "Let's see what we can build." They walked back into the mansion together, husband and wife, not because of revenge, but because of something that looked dangerously like hope. And somewhere in the library, Dmitri smiled and poured himself a drink. Sometimes revenge led to the strangest places. Sometimes the people you thought were enemies became the only ones who truly understood you. Sometimes love grew in the ashes of war. And sometimes, just sometimes, the Bratva's bride became the Bratva's queen. Not through force, but through choice. The best kind of victory. If this story grabbed you by the heart and didn't let go, you know what to do. Subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started. These dark, twisted, beautiful love stories, they only exist because of this community. Because of you. Drop a comment and tell us, did Anya make the right choice? Could you forgive someone who destroyed your life if you fell in love with them? We need to know what you think. Hit that like button if you felt every second of this story. And remember, YouTube's algorithm is unpredictable, but your support isn't. Subscribe, join us, become part of something bigger than just watching videos. Become part of a family that loves the darkness just as much as the light. We'll see you in the next story. Until then, stay dangerous, stay curious, and never, ever underestimate the power of a woman with a plan.